Okay, Lea, gib's ihm. Auf Englisch. Let's go. Ich bin gespannt. Hey, listen, Mix. You can join the Discord now. Hello.
What's
Hello,
up? What's up?
Alex.
What's up?
I've heard you're an Israeli,
Yeah.
and you bring takes like the killing of civilians in the Poland border is okay, or the killing of Kurdish people is okay because they're human shields. Is this right?
No.
Okay, then what was
so
your
let
take,
me
or what
just
is your take about it?
okay. So like I said earlier, in the case of Poland, I said that it is okay to enforce the law, and it's okay basically to shoot the criminals that try to hurt soldiers and cross the border illegally.
But
That
isn't the law itself umbrellic? If we say, because you are not this type of person we want here, we don't let you in.
Well, it's what is the difference from any kind of visa and what you're saying right now?
I think that every person should go where they want. I
Yeah,
don't want that there is something like visa or laws who say you can't immigrate to this country. Because if
okay.
we do this law, we give fascists the possibility to make an ethnic state, so that there is a state with only one ethnic, with only one kind of people. For example, how it was in the Nazi Germany with the Arya, what Hitler did. He only want this type of person in his country, and with these laws, we give fascist parties, the possibility to do this again. And we are on a good way that this will happen again, because we have a rise of fascism on the world again.
Okay. So in your belief, I respect your belief, like you wanna cancel visas and have a free entry and exit. So how do you prevent from Nazis to get into your country?
From what? Say it again, I didn't hear it.
I wanna test your belief. I wanna see like how is it works. So you wanna prevent visas. You wanna cancel visas and have a free movement between countries. So basically, people will move around between countries and countries without any restrictions. So I wanted to ask you, like, so how do you stop Nazis from migrating to Germany, to your country, from other countries?
If they do things like attacking people or being fascist, or if it's a politician have I don't know the English word. That was what the one Hamas leader Netanyahu and Ben Gvir, I think it was, has now. I don't know the English word of it.
How do you
If they
say it
have
in German?
Haftbefehl.
Haftbefehl. Wow, I don't know that either.
It means
Something with jail?
yes, if for example, Netanyahu would go to Germany, he would go to the
Warrant.
Yeah, criminal. What is it?
warrant.
Verdict. Criminal verdict is
Arrest warrant.
basically warrant. Yeah.
The chat from Tim, and Tim said it to me, thanks. Warrant of arrest. If people have this thing, or if they do anything who's in my belief, because this is a scenario which didn't exist right now, if they do something that is unethical, like, for example, being a fascist is unethical, then they should get punished from the local, for example, from the police or whoever has to do this. Is it the
Okay.
local police, or is it international, like the IGH or IGJ? I don't know which the English short term for
English.
the
Well, here's
I
the
think IGJ.
okay. Well, I see your point there, but here's my problem. So basically, what you're saying here is you're allowing the free movement of people without any restrictions wherever they want to go. So only when they commit the crime starts the process of actually apprehending them. So they could be Nazis. So they could be in your country. They could migrate to your country and basically plan. And only when they actually act, then the clock is starting clicking, and their time is running out. That's a problem of actual enforcement. That's my problem with that. It means that you're creating a window of opportunity for fascists and Nazis to act against against you in general, until and only until or if they will be cut. That's the problem here.
Yes, but every country has a kind of secret service. Like the US have the name Secret Service. In Germany, it's the Bundesnachrichtendienst, we call it.
Okay.
In Israel, it's what was the name of the Israel one? Mossad. It has the Mossad. They are very good at finding out if people planning, for example, creating a fascist party or fascist movement, or want to rise fascism in any other way. So if they know and have the information that there are people, it isn't relevant how many people. If people want to plan a fascist movement in any kind of way, they can prevent it with arresting them before they even starting with the beginning of the movement. So before we have this negative part, they already got arrested, because the secret services around the world aren't this bad. They're sometimes very good. For example, the Mossad is one of the most connected and fastest secret services on the world. Faster than the FBI.
Yeah. And what makes them that? Like, what are the what are the causes for them being so good?
Depends on. In the
On what?
US, it's only because they want to stop communist movement. The German one, the Bundesnachrichtendienst, was created by the CIA with an old Nazi, Gehlen. It was the organization Gehlen which they created, which is now the Bundesnachrichtendienst, which is our secret service.
Okay,
This
well,
is the main work of the American. For example, in the Israeli one, you have more than one. You have more than one reason they are this good. First of all, they had to fight with many countries around. Second, they are also influenced by the FBI. They learn from the FBI or have learned from the FBI. They got technology from the FBI, and they are even way more anti-communist and anti-Islamistic or anti-Muslimic.
Okay. So you basically answered me with saying that because they have celebrities, let's say it like that, really talented people, they are succeeding. Let me ask you a different question in order to answer that. So I get that you are against visas. I get that you want to abolish borders. What about freedoms, other freedoms? How about like freedom of speech or your privacy? How are you when it comes to having the government listen to your talks and question and telling you
The
where
government
to work?
already doing this. Well, not only the government is doing it. Companies like Google listening what you're doing. If you make a test, you can make it as a test. You can get a phone from a friend, place it next to you, and talk with him half an hour, how long you want, about one and the same thing. For example, about go-karts. And then if you go through Instagram, through Google or any other social media platform or company, you're gonna get advertisement of something that belongs to go-karting, for example,
Well,
to go-kart track next to you,
yeah,
etc. And
it's only in case that you
countries,
actually Yeah, it's only, I get what you're saying, but it's only in case that you accept cookies and terms and condition allowing Google to do that. If you could have,
in the company part, but we also see the country doing it. For example, the FBI has spied Angela Merkel, our former Chancellor of Germany, was spying by the FBI.
Okay, yeah.
This
So
was
when
a
was
big
the last
scandal
time?
in Germany. It was, I don't know if it was a big scandal in the USA, but in Germany there was a big scandal because it showed that the FBI, an American secret service, spy people of another country. And we're already having this. For
So-
example, lefted people, communists, are on the list of the Verfassungsschutz. So this is they are to check if somebody are against our I don't know the English word.
Verfassung, that's constitution.
Yeah, wait a second.
Wrong? No? Not.
No, I was searching another word. Yeah, who are against our constitution, even if they are for a better future. If it is against our constitution, they will arrest them or punish them in another way, because they can, for example, with the new law that was passed by the Ampel. So coalition from the Greens, the SPD, the Social Democracy, more or less, party, and the FDP, that's the Liberal Party. They passed a law that officers can go into your house, even if you're not there. And in Germany, we call it Wanzing, so that they put microphones or other stuff in it, can look through your electro stuff, etc.
Okay. So when was
it's
the last?
already happening.
Okay. So when was the last time you received a phone call for your government about your opinions?
You don't receive it from the government that they're asking you what are your opinions about it, but the Verfassungsschutz do listening to you what he's saying. That's the reason why communists didn't say anything they want or would do, because they know that the state or the Verfassungsschutz and other secret services are listening, and if they would say anything they thought and want to do, they would get instantly arrested. In Germany,
Okay.
people already got arrested if they call politician as a dick. They already got their house got stormed and they got arrested.
Yeah, I heard about that. So you're saying that you never got a phone call from the government about your political opinions.
No, because the government doesn't care about what the people want. They care about the money.
Well, it's not about what they want. It's about your opinions. They don't care about your opinions.
Yes, they don't care about our opinions and what we want.
So you do have
because they only care about the money they get from rich companies. Because if you look how which companies spend how much money to the different parties, you see that every party that was in the government through the entire history of Germany after 1954, you see they got over to millions of dollars or euros from different companies. And when you're looking at what laws they pass, you see that these laws are positive for the companies they get money from. So the current system isn't for the people, isn't for all people in the country or in the world. It's for a little part of the people, for the richest and the super richest, and for the government and the people in the government to get even richer.
Okay. So you're saying that the government don't really care and allows you to have your political opinions. They just care about the political opinions of parties that against the German constitution.
they care. They don't care if their people. Wait, and to make it in a sentence that makes sense. They don't care what they are saying. So if they say we want a world without hierarchic structure, so like that their riches control the poor people, they don't care about what they are saying. They don't will change anything. They're just looking, is it a dangerous movement for us? And do we have
Yeah,
to
if it's against the law.
say
I
to
mean,
kill it?
dangerous. Yeah, okay. So dangerous, it basically means against the law.
Yeah, but the law itself is to criticize because the law makes it impossible to change into a better system.
Of course,
The
there
German
is.
constitution makes it impossible to change into, for example, socialism.
It's also
It's
make it
impossible.
impossible. It's also impossible to make it fascist. So
No, it's
it
not.
doesn't.
That's the
You mean
problem.
that? Do you mean that in Germany it's absolutely legal to become social
We're seeing it.
nationalist again?
We're seeing it right now that
Oh.
it's happening. You can get really fast into into fascism
Is
if
it
you
legal for
don't be
you?
careful.
Is
They
it
can
legal
make it
for you?
legal. They can make it legal very
They-
easy. If they have
What you-
enough, and if the government is a one-party government and have 50% or more people voted them, then they can kill our safety, or more or less safety, constitution, the Verfassungsschutz.
Okay,
So,
yeah, I understand you. So,
so
is
they
it?
they can make it legally by get elected to fascism. When people try to get socialism, the party got banned. We see it with the so-called KPD, that's mean Communist Party of Germany. And they got banned when they were very low. They were about 30%. Then they got banned, and every jurist, every person who looks at law, what you need to have to ban the party says or said that the ban of the KPD wasn't in the right of law. Because for a capitalist state, socialism is a bigger danger than fascism. Because at fascism, the rich people only lose, they didn't lose their money. They just lose, give me a second, I need the word for English. I need to translate some words because my English isn't the best.
You're doing great, buddy. Believe in you. You're doing great. Thank you for doing it.
They're just losing power, but not the money they have, the companies they have. They didn't lose this, but in socialism they loses the power and the companies, the money, and all other things they belong. Because socialism want to stop this two-class structure with the one very rich who are very less people, have many of
Folgt mal alle hier rein.
the resources
Folgt mal alle
available
bei ab, du
in
Schalen
Germany.
rein. Mach mal die 1000
top
Follower voll.
10%
Mach mal die 1000 voll jetzt
had
hier.
the half
Der Link ist im
of
Chat.
the
Rein
in
da.
Germany existing money
Ehrenmann,
or
schaffen wir das.
companies,
1000.
and socialism want to stop
Rein da,
this.
Chat.
So for a capitalist country, socialism is the more dangerous thing,
Schaffen wir die
and they
1000.
will forever fight harder against socialism than against
Sehr nice,
fascism.
Mann.
If you look through the history of Germany, you saw it with the Organisation Gehlen or with the banning of KPD, or
Lol.
how they
War noch
talk
nicht
about
aktualisiert.
socialist idea.
And the
Aber trotzdem
DDR.
sehr
I
geil,
mean,
Mann.
don't
Aber
forget
trotzdem
about the
sehr geil.
DDR, right?
Ehre, folgt rein.
The DDR wasn't the best, or the GDR wasn't the best example for a socialist state. It was on
Because
his
it
way
wasn't successful,
socialist,
right?
because one big problem the GDR had was the influence of Stalin. Stalin wasn't
Machen
a
die
real
2K-Folge,
communist,
genau.
because he didn't do anything to make the Soviet Union more communist. Lenin, for example, did this. He made the Soviet Union more socialist and tried to have a state which is socialist and go and influence other countries to get socialist by arguments to get into communism. So communism is a world without state. So communism is the end stadium. And Stalin did all the go back to an older, as I call it, an older version of the Soviet Union, and also killing people who he thinks are his opponents, even if they aren't his opponents, which also have the reason that he was schizophrenic and thought that everybody is against him, but this didn't legitimate what he's done. So if the GDR hasn't the influence of Stalin,
But what?
or if the
Yeah.
GDR would exist right now, they would do it way better than the
Yeah, but
BRD is doing it right
yeah,
now.
yeah, but you're skipping about like what, almost 40 years then. Stalin died in 1953.
Yes,
What
but the
happened?
influence was still in. The influence was already there. You can
What do you
get the
mean? So between 1953 and 1989, there's nothing that the Social Party couldn't do to fix it? That's
no,
what you're saying?
because the Socialist Party in the GDR was a Stalinist party, so they
No, it
thought that
wasn't.
what Stalin it was. They thought that
No, it wasn't.
what Stalin did was right, and they tried to didn't change
Do,
anything
do you know
till
who
the
is Nikita?
protest came.
Do you know who Nikita Khrushchev is?
Yes,
Okay. Wasn't he the president of the Soviet Union after Stalin? Did he say
I
that?
call about GDR, not USSR. The
Well,
GDR
you're
still
talking about the influence sphere here. Who
yes,
is the
but
influence?
Stalin has made his influence at the founding of the GDR. He
Okay.
do every constitution, everything, the government, every single part of the country was with Stalin influence. Stalin made up this country, and after Stalin died, you have changes in the Soviet Union. You have changes in many other countries like Poland or Romania, and
Yeah.
so going on. But the GDR still has got the way of Stalin's idea of a socialist country. And
And you're
this was
saying,
the thing
yeah.
which was fatal
And you're
for
saying that,
them.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. So and you're saying that the East Germany had complete autonomy about its own rule. So basically, didn't care about what Soviet Union said or who were in power in the Soviet Union. They did things their way. That's what you're saying?
They care way, way less than other countries, like Poland, for example. So, like Poland got goes less authoritarian, but the GDR stays at an even level as of authoritarian. They go a little bit less, but still a very hard laws and all the other things.
Yeah, and don't forget.
They have to do the laws a little bit softer because they saw that the people in the GDR weren't happy about it,
Yeah,
which in the end was the collapse of the GDR.
and
But
don't
if
forget about the fact that Putin, even though he was born as a Russian in Russia, he served all his KGB time in East Germany, right?
yes, it's the reason why he can't speak German so good.
Well,
German so
apparently
good.
you didn't hear him speak German.
His German is, if you know that he's Russian, he
Yeah,
speaks very good German.
he speaks
Because German,
really good German, and I also speak really good Russian, and I understand German.
but I heard from KrassThema that you talked already about Rojava and about the people on the border of Poland. But
Yes.
one thing that interests me personally, as you can see in my username, is the ongoing situation in Gaza and the
Okay.
ongoing situation in the Lebanon and what is happening with the United Nations troops.
Okay.
What do you think about this? What is happening right now with the we begin with the troops of the UN, so that the Israel army attacks the UN and says that the UN is a human shield to Lebanon, well, for Lebanon, or Lebanon uses them as a human shield. Do you agree with this
Okay.
sentence?
Well, first of all, I don't like jumping between topics. I just wanted to finish the first topic about socialism. Let me just
You're
say
lagging
like
a little bit.
a closing statement, and we could continue to that. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
you need to repeat your. I don't know if it's my internet or yours, but you're lagging a little bit.
I apologize. I just want to say that I don't love jumping between topics, because we started to talk about socialism, and now you want to talk about Israel and what's happening in the Middle East.
If
So I
you
just
want,
wanted to
we can continue. I just said that
yeah,
for
yeah,
me
no problem.
personally,
I'll
it's
answer you. I just
interesting.
wanted to talk.
Okay,
Yeah, I just
then
wanted
we
to
go
say
back to
as
socialism.
yeah, I just wanted to say something small. So,
Mhm.
so you agree basically that as long as you are not a political enemy to the German constitution, the German people or the German government don't care about what you say. They only care about the political parties and what they have to say. And you also said that as long as you have a majority, a clear majority of more 50% of the parliament, you could pass a law and allow certain government to form in place. So here's the thing about it. So as your point of view is stating that right now, even though I have my freedoms, I'm using my situation with the freedoms I have and wish for not having them to begin with. That's the problem that I have with that political view. You're saying that even though I have the right to express my opinions, I wish upon myself that the government will go back in time and basically control what I have to say, because there's already a form of that on other people. That's
No,
what you're
that's
saying.
not. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the current law is bullshit, and we need a better law. Because with the current law, a fascist party or any other party who get more than 50% of of people in the parliament could easily pass a constitutional court
Yeah.
with
Okay.
with
And
only 50%, and that isn't an unrealistic scenario. Because we
okay.
have the possibility, even if they aren't in the government alone, and for example, the AfD is in the government with the CDU. There is a little bit of chance that the CDU works as, we call it, Steigbügelhalter. I don't know if there is any English translation for this. Give me a second.
Steigbürgerhalt?
Yeah. So
Wow.
this word means that they are giving fascist parties the opportunity to do their fascist things. For example, how does the so-called Zentrumspartei before Nazi Germany, so Zentrums means Central Party, give the NSDAP the possibility to go into the government and do the fascist things. So there were the so-called Steigbügelhalter. And now we can see that the CDU, also a self-called Central Party, but they aren't really central, are doing the same thing with the AfD. And the AfD is a fascist party. So there is the possibility, and it isn't this small, that the CDU...
My
Yes?
question is, I'm sorry, my question is like, do the IFD recognize themselves? Do they call themselves a fascist party, or is that you who calls them as a fascist party?
They didn't call themselves a fascist party, but if you look what they want, what they are saying, and how they use some kinds of words, and use the tactics, see their tactics, what they are using, then you see that that is a fascist party.
But I'm also seeing the tactics that you do, and you label them as a fascist, even though they are not fascist by the German definition of law. And you expect me to take your side over their side. And I don't understand why you would like to do that.
The German Constitution Court want to call them officially in their reports as extreme right.
Okay. And what
Or
is
right
extreme?
extremist. But the reason they didn't do it right now, even if they wanted to do it right now, as they self said, is that they are scared if they do this, it could get denied because the next my English isn't really bad. Because the next
doing
because the next election
Election?
is so close.
Okay. So
But
basically,
the Constitution Court saying basically they are right extremists, but we can't label them right now as right extremists because of in fact of the scare that it got denied. If because the election is too close for doing it. So even
is
our
that
Constitution Court saying they are right extremists.
is that the official statement of the court, or is that official opinion of some political representative?
This was what the court released from some people of the court leaked some internal informations where this is from.
So you're basing so you're
they
basing
want to
on
do
leaks.
it.
So it's not really official, it's leaks. It's either a leaked document or official. It cannot be both. If it's leaked, it basically means that it's not official, it wasn't released, somebody stole it and published that. It's not official.
There was a leak, but in this leak you can reading what they want to do, but they are scared. In this leak you have sentences of what they were saying on in the close and small round, what they want to do, but they are scared. So that they are scared isn't the opinion of people. This was in this leaked paper in it.
Well, that's why facts matter. That's why it's important to know if it's a leak or if it's official. Because if it's a leak document, that it means that by definition, it is not official. It could be falsified. It means it could be a lie.
There
How
is
is
the
it?
opportunity that it is a lie, but
And there's also the opportunity, right?
if you're looking what the what the Constitution was doing with the junior party of the AfD, the so-called Junge Alternative means just young alternative. They already doing the steps of labeling them right extremists, and you
No
know
problem.
that the people from the young part of the party. So, for example, by the AfD, it's the JA, so you're the Young Alternative, or at the left party, they call the Linksjugend Solid, so mean left youth solid. They are going into the party very fast.
No problem, man. I'll give you that.
Already saving the AfD at give me a second. Already saving them on election campaigning booths. I don't know if that's the right word. So where they do
They grow politically fast. If I understand you correctly, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You're saying that there's a young political group that is working towards labeling them as fascist or alt-right or extreme right, and they're growing fast politically, right?
yes, but they aren't the young part of the AfD. So in Germany, every party has a so-called young party, where young people in it who use this organization officially, which isn't officially not connected to the party, but unofficially the parties give them money, give them opportunities to do things. So it is the unofficial youth part. And in the case of the AfD and the JA, so the Youth Alternative, you see that many of them goes into the AfD, even if they label themselves as fascists. You have many people in the Youth Alternative who label themselves as fascists and still goes into the AfD. You have political persons like Björn Höcke, who isn't a youth, but who's saying that Germany would lose 20 or 30 million part of his population, which is exactly the part which was counted in the so-called Potsdamer Treffen, so the meeting in Potsdam, where the right extremist Salner from Austria and some AfD and CDU politicians talked about the so-called remigration part. Remigration is just another word used for deportation. And if you look at the timeline, there was a timeline where this meeting was. Then when Höcke said this number, which was used in this meeting, and after he said this number, this meeting got public by an by a research of an investigative team.
So here's what I'm saying. I trust the German court and I trust the German government. If the German court will label the IFD as a fascist party, I'm pretty sure that basically it means that it's illegal for them to exist if it's labeled as a fascist party. But if it does happen, I would not support a fascist party in Germany. It's morally wrong for me to do something like that. But right now, the way I look at it, it seems to me that a lot of young people and a lot of Germans refuse to accept that it's wrong to lie. It's wrong to falsify, to lie and shut political opinions that they are simply not agreeing with. And what you did there kind of like shows that. I mean, with the whole discussion with the difference between leaked and official, with official state by the court and an opinion, a political opinion. It's not fair to have that kind of discussion. So that's my statement in that. And if you want,
Yes, continue.
no, I mean, if you want, we could continue to the Gaza topic and the Israel-Palestine Lebanon situation. That's like
I think that could be way more interesting because we have a different base what are about German constitutions. You trust in them, and I didn't trust in the German police, the constitution court, the government. I can't trust them if I look what they are doing in the past, in the present, and
So-
in fact of the past and the present, I can imagine what they are doing in the future.
So you're German, but you're not a German patriot. You're not proud of your country. That's what you're saying?
Definitely not.
Okay, that's your right. I accept it. So, about Lebanon.
Deutschland verrecken.
About Lebanon and the UN troops. What do you
So-
think about the Israeli? I just want to repeat the question because here are many people who joined after right now and didn't hear the question.
Go ahead.
What do you think about Israeli troops attacking the UN and says that the UN is used as a human shield for the Lebanon?
Okay, so first of all, a little bit more context. The UN is on the border between Israel and Lebanon after basically a UN resolution after the first Lebanese war. No, the second Lebanese war. No, the first one in 1987, as supposed to
Yes.
be as independent party who controlled the peace. It's supposed to be there to observe the peace and prevent from Hezbollah to approach the border. That's the whole purpose of them being there. And the reason why Israel attacked Hezbollah to begin with is because there is a Hezbollah presence near the UN border, near the UN towers, the patrol guards. So the question is, to begin with, is how come the UN allowed Hezbollah to approach their border and not respect their part in the agreement? How that happened?
In this agreement, there was a strictly defined part where Israel can go maximum and where the Lebanon or the Hezbollah can go maximum.
Right,
The
and how
Hezbollah
far?
go to the maximum of this limit. If they go one step further, they are over the limit.
And do you know what was that maximum?
I
How
can't
much?
say
How
it
much meters?
exactly. I can say it exactly, because I didn't have the map in my head right now.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that the bombing that in case of those 3 soldiers who got hurt, that bomb actually fell on top of a Hezbollah pier that was located 25 meters from a tower, from a UN tower. If you could find me that it's that 25 meters, it's well accepted border, okay, I grant you. I could say that you're right. I mean, that was completely illegal. But if it's, I mean, less than that, then who's to blame?
In this case, still for me, still Israel is to blame, because even
Why?
if the Hezbollah go over
Ein
this,
Euro ist weg innerhalb
if
von 5
over this
Sekunden. Und
these
ich kann das
Definite
natürlich
line,
sofort nochmal machen.
Israel have to make
Bepeger
sure
Hammer, du bist kein
that
Löwe.
with their
Also hör auf, dich
attackings,
mit einem zu
they didn't
vergleichen.
hurt
Löwen vergewaltigte und
persons,
auch andere
people or
Löwen,
troops
also dürfen
who
Menschen das
hasn't do
auch?
anything,
Na eben nicht, weil
who
wir
who
keine
hasn't do
Löwen sind.
anything with
Bepeger
it.
Hammer.
Based on
So it
what?
wasn't the first attack right now. We have already since the beginning of the Gaza-Israeli
Well,
war and
hold on. Well, hold on.
Lebanon-Israeli, there was 2 attacks from Israel on an UN troop station.
Okay.
The first one was about 3 or 4 months ago, where
Okay.
where there was a tank right directly in front and beside a UN tower, where they shot through a already broken barrier. This was the first one. There are videos of it. The Italian television showed it because Italian UN soldiers are stationed there. And now we have the
Ein
second
Euro ist
time
weg innerhalb von 5
Israel
Sekunden. Und ich kann
crosses
das
this
natürlich
red
sofort
line,
nochmal
because
machen.
attacking the UN, even
Rassismus
if it
unterstrich gegen
wasn't
unterstrich Metzger,
even if they
Bepeger Hammer,
didn't
du bist
want
kein Löwe.
attack the UN,
Also hör auf,
they
dich mit
have
einem zu vergleichen.
they
Löwen
had do
vergewaltigte und
damage
auch
to
andere
the UN
Löwen,
troops.
also
They
dürfen
have
Menschen
hit
das
the
auch?
UN.
Na
This
eben
is
nicht,
the
weil
red
wir keine
line
Löwen
you're
sind.
not allowed to
Bepeger Hammer.
cross as a country. There
Who said
isn't
that?
isn't there any part, any reason to it. There is only one reason where you can say you can attack the UN troops, and this is if the UN troops going to attack you without any reason.
And
So
where
if
do
they
you
think
where do you take this interpretation from? Where do you get it from?
this is, if you can ask any person on the whole world, they will
Do you have
say,
any? Yeah, but the question is, do you have any military experience? Do you know the actual law? Or do you say because you read it somewhere? And because I want to understand where
I
you get
talked
that.
about the moral part. It's an absolute morally no-go to attack the UN soldiers if they didn't do anything. And they didn't do anything. Even
again,
if the Hezbollah go over this definite border, it's not the fault of the UN. The UN is also limited. They can't do anything.
that's
They
the
can't
problem.
just
The
say,
whole-
okay,
the-
now we shoot at you, Hezbollah, because they know
Well-
if they fight against Hezbollah, this will be a very hard situation, because the Hezbollah isn't a weak terrorist group. They
What
are
are they doing there?
strong.
What are they doing there? What's the role to begin with if they're afraid from Hezbollah? Send them back to Italy.
Do you want a direct conflict of Hezbollah and Israel? They're
Of
using
course.
the UN is why?
Because
the only thing
because Israel
which
has
would
the right to
happen
defend
is,
itself.
but where is Israel defending itself right now? At the beginning, we can talking about the defending, but what is
Would you-
happening right now isn't the defending anymore. They're doing
Well-
an ongoing genocide in Gaza. The Hezbollah reacted of it. I don't support the reaction of Hezbollah because I think the way of the Hezbollah is reacting with attacking civilians isn't the right way. Even the way Hamas did it with attacking civilians isn't a crime. Isn't a war crime. Is a war crime. Not isn't. Is a war crime.
So
But the
basically,
thing
so
Israel
you're
is
for-
right now doing is fight a war crime with the war crime. So they're using war crimes to fight against people who made war crimes. And that was which Israel right now is doing is way bigger war crime, or it's a war crime. And they are right now doing one war crime and one international crime. The war crime is that what they are doing in Gaza right now. That is the genocide. That's not saying me only. That's Amnesty International saying it. That's the ICJ saying it. There are many people, even Israeli genocide experts, saying that what is happening right now in Gaza is a genocide. And then we have the other crime. The
Well,
other
you
crime is
gotta limit
happening.
your, you gotta limit your response. I mean, like, I need to actually answer
Okay,
you
so
somehow.
we focus on the Gazan part for now. Then what
Okay,
they're doing there is a genocide.
so before we go to Gaza, yeah, about the case of the Italian soldiers, you're okay for them basically to be there, do nothing, and you're against them to basically go back home and not get hurt, and you are afraid for the life of the Italian soldiers. I am saying that the UN soldiers are there to do their part, which they are not doing to begin with. They're not supposed to be afraid of Hezbollah. Yes, Hezbollah is dangerous, but so what? We are not
That's the
supposed to be
reason why
bullied.
the UN isn't directly attacking them. They
But they
tried
should
first
directly attack them.
No, then you don't know how the UN works. The first way the UN tries to be to ending a conflict is with diplomatic ways. So they
And it
talk
failed.
with Hezbollah leaders,
Yeah,
and
rockets are
there
not
were
diplomatic.
and there
Rockets
were
are not diplomatic solution. Sorry.
I don't know when the UN uses rockets against the Hezbollah. I said the UN talked with
If
the
30,
Hezbollah
yeah,
in
if
a
30,
diplomatic way to stop what's going on. And we have
if
a
30,
solution on the diplomatic way caused by first USA, second UN. The right now, I don't know the English word for it. In Germany, we call it Waffenstillstand.
weapon
Ceasefire.
ceasefire.
The right now ceasefire was made in combination from the US and the UN on diplomatic way with
No,
both
it
countries.
was no. It was the US. It was the US and Israel. That's what US, Lebanon, and Israel has nothing to do with the UN. Nothing.
The UN,
Absolutely nothing.
also was in this. I don't know if
Well,
you have. I don't know if you go deep into if you were deep into the diplomatic talks.
and you know the funniest thing about it, the U.S. representative was actually an American Jewish representative. That's the funniest thing about it. It takes actually a Jewish person to come, American Jewish person, to come to Lebanon to speak and solve that conflict. It didn't take nobody from the UN. The UN is a useless sitting duck. It doesn't do anything. It allows hundred thousands of rockets to be fired at Israeli cities and
Because they
thousands of
also limited. They can attack with weapons, with tanks,
then
but
let
they
them
haven't
go back. Let
they
them go
have
back to Europe. They are
no
useless. They are useless.
they
They
aren't
have no
useless.
purpose there. They have no
Do you
purpose
know?
there.
Should I give you an example from another country where they weren't useless and where they did the same
It
thing
doesn't
as
help
they
me,
do
man.
right now?
Yeah, but
They was doing the same thing they're doing right now in the Lebanon-Israel conflict, and this was in Somalia. The
okay.
UN
And
did
how
get
many
independence for
Israelis died?
Somalia.
How many Israelis saved or died in Somalia?
What? That wasn't my point. My
Well,
point was the way
that was
what the
the
UN
point of
is
the
doing.
conversation.
No, my point was that that was the UN is doing now. The way of strategy. So first use diplomatic ways was the same way they use in Somalia. They try and they use diplomatic. They
Okay,
also
and
stationated troops for the for the reason if there could get on a weaponized conflict, but they used as much or as many diplomatic way they can do, and they solved this conflict. They get
I don't
Somalian
care.
independence
Again,
from the military in Hirashi.
I,
And
again,
if you say that the UN right now is useless, while the UN using the same tactics as they do in Somalia, then you
Halt doch dein
don't
dummes
know
Maul, du
what,
Idiot,
then
Alter.
you
Ich mach
don't
hier
want
Aufklärung.
a real
Geh
peace.
doch deine
And that's what I
Mutter
need to
ficken, wenn
say.
du
Then
das
you
nicht
don't
machst.
want a real peace between the Arabic states and Israel. Because there could
there is
be
again, there is
could be
peace.
in
There's
peace.
already peace. There's already peace between Arabic countries and Israel. It's the problem. The problem here that left this kind of alliance between left politics and Islamists think that the Arabic is Lebanon, Gaza. No, there is a peace going on more than 70 years with Egypt. There's a peace going on with Jordan. There's a peace going on with the Arabian Emirates.
But with the things Israel is doing right now, the Arabic countries don't
No,
want to
don't
be
say Arabic
peace
countries. That's
with
the problem.
Israel. Look what Saudi Arabia is thinking right
Don't
now.
speak in behalf of the Arabic countries. That's the problem.
But you see what the governments are saying. Look what the governments of many Arabic states are saying. Look what the government of Saudi Arabia is saying. Iran, Iraq, Lebanon,
please.
Jordania. They are getting more and more. They wait a second. They distance themselves way more and more from Israel as longer this ongoing genocide in Gaza is happening. Because the people in Gaza who get killed by Israeli troops are
but
of the same religion, of the same God than the other countries, and they don't support this genocide.
problem
they don't
here-
want to be in peace with a country who's doing an ongoing genocide. Nobody want to be in peace with a country who's doing an ongoing genocide.
Really,
Look
how many Dutch people died because of Israeli terrorists? How many French people died because of Israeli terrorists? How many Americans died because of Israeli terrorists?
Enough.
Enough? How many? What do you mean? How? Give me a number, rough number. 3,
Even
4?
one is too much. Even one person is too much.
Can you name one? What do you mean?
Even one person.
When was the last time that an Israeli citizen, an Israeli individual, went to France, the Netherlands, Germany, and killed or
person?
yeah? When was that?
I can give you kill. I can give you people who got very hardly armed, who are now disabled. In fact, of
you mean okay. So you mean when EU individual came to the conflict zone, when he entered to Gaza or
no. In Europe. I can
Okay.
give you an example, a specific example. In Germany, Leipzig. This is a city in Germany. There was a pro-Palestinian protest, a friendly pro-Palestinian protest. There were nothing you can say that they are aggressive or anything. After this demonstration, the demonstrants going home, and pro-Israeli demonstrants waiting at the train station and punched a pro-Palestinian Jew. And the ironic on this situation isn't not that they say that the pro-Palestinian are the aggressive but then attacking pro-Palestinians. The ironic behind the story is that the person who attacks this pro-Palestinian Jew has a T-shirt on it where it says "Stop all and any kinds of anti-Semitism everywhere."
Do you understand what terrorism means?
I understand what terrorism means, but this was
Is that a
many
terrorism act?
example around. This was one of many examples what is happening around Europe. We
Is that
don't
a terrorist
need
act?
a terrorist who shoot around and kill many people. Even this little
That
act
was your
is too
that was
much.
no. That was your statement. You're saying that all countries want to distance themselves from terroristic acts that been done by Israelis.
From a country who's doing an ongoing genocide was my sentence. And if you want to ask me where are they doing a genocide, look what they are doing in Gaza.
So it's not
Look
about
how
terrorism.
many
It's
under-
about specific. So okay. So
It's
you
about
said specifically
doing
terrorism.
genocide.
Okay. So it's about the
1 Euro
genocide. It's
Steak
not about the
innerhalb von 5
terrorism
Sekunden.
because there is
Und ich kann
no
das natürlich
Israeli
sofort
terrorism
nochmal machen.
I
in
never
Europe.
1
talked
Löwe,
about
2
terrorism. I
Löwe,
talked
3
about
Löwe,
in
4
countries
That's
Löwe,
the
doing a
reason.
5
genocide.
Löwe,
That's the reason
161
why I
Löwe.
asked
I am
you
immer die
when was the
Löwe.
last time you heard about an
269
Israeli
Löwe.
act of terrorism in Europe somewhere. Okay.
There's a difference between hearing and there was one, but this is another team. We can talk probably about it later. What the media is saying and what not saying, the identity of the terrorists. But this is another team. We can talk about it later. Let's focus on the main part of this thing, the ongoing fight, and that many Arabic countries gave way more distance to Israel because they don't want to support a country who's doing a genocide. We already had it in the history with South Africa, who was colonized by the Brits and by the Netherlands, and which were doing a genocide against the indigenous, I don't know the word correctly spoken, the indigenous people of
Genocidal.
Africa, and all countries around the world stop any kind of diplomatic to South African. South Africa was banned from many sports, many events, and way more. And now we're seeing step by step the same thing happening with the next country who's doing a genocide.
Okay. So what is your base belief? What is your first axioma? Do you believe that Israel has the right to defend itself?
In a way that isn't, I need to give me a second. In an relatively way. So, for example, if I hit you in the face, you can't kill me. For example. But if I hit you in the face and you hit me in the face back, or some other people hit me in the face back from stopping me punching you, then it's okay. So it need to be on the same level. But what Israel is doing right now isn't.
Okay, if a person punch you in the face, but he also screams, "I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna kill you!" Is that okay for you to defend yourself?
Yes, but not to
How?
killing him.
Okay, if it was a Nazi who punches you in the face and screams at you, "I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna kill you!" and it's a Nazi, is that okay for you to kill him?
In this specific case, no.
No. So you're against killing Nazis, and you're against basically. So I'm sorry, I got confused.
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't kill him in any other way or send him in things like gulag or prison or whatever. But in this situation, if someone attacks me, or as I used the example, if I attacks you and any other person seeing this, even if I scream I'm gonna kill you, he doesn't have the right to kill me. Cause it need to be relatively, can't pronounce this word. Relatively.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's supposed to be relative. It's supposed to be. Even me,
On the
I
same
forgot.
level. On the same level.
Yeah. So if you have a brain injury right now, okay, if you have a brain injury and you have some sort of medical condition, and you know that this punch is gonna kill you, the doctor will probably say that this punch is gonna be a deadly punch for you. Is that still relative?
There's still the reason that I don't know. It's mod isn't the English word. My English is not very good. Murdering should be the last thing you do.
It is. That's the thing about
Be the
murder.
last thing you do.
Murder, the thing about
You
death,
can
that's
hang up on this on this hypo on this hypo on this hypothetical scenario, or we go back to the real scenario, what is happening right now, that Israel is doing a genocide on killing way more people than were killed in the terrorist attack of Hamas.
yeah.
What they are doing right now in Gaza
How many
is an aggressive
Germans?
way of an ethnic cleaning.
How many Germans died during the Second World War? Do you know?
I don't know the exact number.
Yeah, over 20 million, buddy.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just thought more,
You-
but
Now, what's up? Hello?
hello, are you still there?
Yeah, oh, sorry. I think I was disconnected something.
You said in the Second World War there were 20 million Germans killed?
Yeah, around 20 million.
Then the National WW2 Museum, so the World War II Museum, says round about, I need
I was
to
wrong.
make math, 13 million in the highest
13
case.
million. Oh, okay, 13 million. Apologies. Yeah. I remember it was around
11
that.
to 13. 11 to 13. Depends
11
on
to
the
13.
case of how many civilian
Yeah, can you
death.
and you think that 100% of them were Nazis? Soldiers, fighting soldiers?
Many of them were Nazis.
How many Americans died?
Give me a second. I need to open the source fully. United States, 800,000.
Wow,
900,000.
that's not relative, buddy. That's not relative. It's almost one. That's one to every 20. That's one American
Yeah,
for
but
almost.
you need to look how many soldiers in Germany died.
Why?
The
What's it
most
have to
people,
do?
because the most people who were died in Germany during the World War II were soldiers who died at the attacking of other countries, at attacking France, attacking Russia, attacking Poland, and so on. So these aren't deaths or kills who are not on the same level, because Germany was the aggressor, and it stays on the same level.
Hey,
Many of the
yeah,
death
they don't
German
like our
civilians are
conversation, buddy.
also, for example, people who got killed by the Nazi regime itself, political opponents, Jews, and any other people are also included. That's why you see such high numbers in countries which have a relative low population. For example, Hungary, with around about 1 million people dying there or got killed there.
Ey, Lea,
What's the number?
ganz kurz.
Ja?
Der Chat hat abgestimmt und das ist denen zu wild, die Diskussion. Was meinst du?
Es ist schon sehr dämlich, ja. Also das ist halt wirklich, das ist ein kompletter Debate, Bro. Das ist ein englischer Debate, Bro.
Ne. Das Problem ist halt, da können wir halt auch nicht so gut gegenhalten, weil wir halt Englisch nicht so fluent sind wie Deutsch, ne?
Ja.
Weiß ich halt nicht, wie
Also
viel
ich
Sinn
kann
das hat.
schon,
Und das ist einfach
also
ekelhaft.
gegenhalten schon, aber halt nicht, ne, überhalb. Also, ne?
Ja.
Es ist halt, es ist halt schwer, wenn ich jede 2 Sekunden ein Wort googeln muss. Und es macht's halt noch viel schwerer, wenn er von den Wörtern hin und her hüpft. Und es macht's halt.
Hey, brother, we are against illegal immigration. That's why I gonna say goodbye, right? Have a nice evening.
Okay. So, wir haben da schon den nächsten, der irgendwie einen Hammer und Sichel drin hat, aber gleichzeitig 'ne Löwenrolle hat. Was mich jetzt sehr interessiert.